From Okafor and Taurasi to Shabazz and Stewie, the stars of Stores have made early spring parade season well over a dozen times.
But this season, both Final Fours ended with Husky heartbreak. A natty nail-biter handed the men the program's first loss in the tournament finale in program history.
And South Carolina stamped out the flames of an undefeated season and the women's quest for a baker's dozen. Now, where a celebration would fill the streets, there are only empty sidewalks. We'll look back at the losses.
Connecticut Game Week starts right now.
Well, it's been weeks since we've met you from this studio, and I have to say it feels good to be back in the Nutmeg State as the madness comes to an end. Welcome into Connecticut Game Week, everyone. I'm Sean Humphrey.
And I'm Alexa Harley. Finally done unpacking and repacking our suitcases this past month.
Clothes.
Been absolutely crazy. Dual Final Four runs, something the program has seen before. But, you know, last week we said the road ends here. So this week, our best in show is the end of the road. Well, the Huskies fell short of program title number 7 in a hard-fought physical battle against the Wolverines Monday in the national championship, 69-63, that final score. Now, truthfully, being there on the floor level and watching, I mean, this UConn team literally gave it everything they had. They left it all out there. And, you know, this was a rocky season, highs and lows, ebbs and flows. And head coach Dan Hurley says that he's never going to forget this group of guys.
Yeah, it's a team I'll never forget, and just grew to love them, you know, and you grew to love them, and your heart breaks, you know, your heart breaks for them, your heart breaks, you know, your heart breaks for how far the group is, you know, how far the group came, and you know what they were able to deliver for, you know, for our fans, for the staff, for the students, for the state. Yeah, I mean, your heart breaks, but you know it's the risk you got to be willing to take. You know, you got to be willing to commit everything you have to, you know, your purpose or your passion or what you do, and you know, when you have the highest of goals, you know, sometimes you're going to have your heart broken, and you know, it's heartbreaking that we weren't able to, you know, to find a way there. You know, credit Michigan, they're an excellent team and a worthy champion.
Meanwhile, on the women's side, 2 Hall of Fame head coaches from the city of brotherly love had a bit of a back and forth toward the end of their Final Four matchup. Dawn Staley and Gino Auriemma have been making national headlines all week, and this began as time expired in UConn's 62-48 loss to South Carolina. Assistant coaches and referees separated the two. Auriemma had expressed frustration with a lack of foul calls in an interview with ESPN's Holly Rowe. The tension from the terse exchange between the two carried over into the media room after the game.
You can ask Gino the question. You know, he's the one that initiated the conversation. I don't want, you know, what happened there to dampen what we were able to accomplish today.
For 41 years I've been coaching, and I've been, I don't know, 25 Final Fours. And the protocol is before the game you meet at half court. Anybody ever see that before? 2 coaches meet at half court and they shake hands. Correct? You ever see it? They announce it on the loudspeaker. And I waited there for like 3 minutes.
Auriemma apologized to South Carolina staff and team the next day, saying there's, quote, no excuse for how he handled the end of the game. Staley, meanwhile, answered a question about the apology before the national championship, expressing a desire to focus on the matchup with UCLA.
There are a lot of distractions that are placed in your life. You're either going to address them and then let it overcome you, or you stick with the task at hand. I'm choosing to stick to the task at hand. At some point, everything's going to be addressed. But today, this weekend, won't be one of them.
And the day to address the elephant in the room came later in the week. Staley said she'd heard from Gino, respects him, and gave him credit for what his run at UConn has meant to the sport. She said, quote, "I'm asking everyone to turn the page. Let's refocus on what matters most, continuing to elevate our game, creating opportunities, and pushing it forward. That's always been my mission, and it's not changing." Now, Auriemma later released a statement of his own confirming he spoke with Staley, apologizing, and going so far as to say he, quote, "lost himself last week." He also echoed Staley's desire to move past the incident for the greater good of the sport itself.
Well, and after this incident, the men were playing in the Final Four, and we actually got to hear Coach Hurley's perspective on this whole fiasco and the aftermath of the whole ordeal. And he responded in very typical Dan Hurley fashion, but encouraged gracious response to the Hall of Fame head coach's actions.
Obviously I've had a negative influence on Gino. And it's crazy because Gino's helped me so much, and now Gino, the way he handled the whole thing, such a stand-up guy with the way he handled it, with the statement, and he's one of the classiest people. And if anyone should get the benefit of the doubt in the world of sports, it's Gino Auriemma.
Now, the game itself was a rough one for the Huskies. They shot just over 31% from the floor and were out-rebounded by 12. And while they had a few late runs, it wasn't enough to overcome South Carolina. The end of the road in Phoenix also meant the end for a group that's built close relationships in its time together. The players were certainly sad it was all ending, especially for those who were watching the senior group right off into the sunset.
I'm trying not to think about it too much just because they're my everything. And I've had so many years with them, more than I've anticipated coming in as a freshman, so I was so fortunate. But I love them with everything that I am, and I'm going to miss them.
I think this team is super close, and we love each other a lot. I feel like that's why we're even more emotional. We're more so emotional for our seniors and just for each other, and no one's really like hanging their head on their own performance. It's kind of just wow, it's over for us for this year, and we're losing some pieces that were really important. So I mean, it's just sad to look back on just the amazing careers Azzi, Sarah, and Carol had here, and kind of just reflect on that.
With everything that I've gone through, I wouldn't have been able to do it, without this team, and I wouldn't have done it without, if it wasn't for this group. So just, we've all, supported each other, and this team is really special, and this doesn't define us.
I think that there's a lot to look forward to next year. I think that there's a lot of personal growth and a lot of team growth that we can make. I think that this loss kind of has a feeling on us that we won't forget, and I think that'll carry over into next season. But looking back at this season,
there probably won't be another one that comes around like Alex Karaban. To have back-to-back championships, have the chance to win 3 in 4 years, that's coveted. That's UCLA days 60 years ago. No one talks about that, and he's in that same boat. That just shows you how great of a player he is, and I'm uber proud of him, super proud of him.
We will probably never see the likes of a guy like Alex Karaban in the sport of college basketball ever again. He entered UConn as a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed kid from Southborough, Massachusetts, and he quickly became a starter in the 2022-2023 season as a redshirt freshman. He was a pivotal player in UConn's back-to-back runs, and after the early exit in 2025 from the tournament, he dabbled with the NBA draft, but eventually made the decision to return for one last run. And in that final stretch, he made history every step of the way. He became the all-time winningest Husky with 126 victories. He moved up to 8th on the school's all-time scorer list. And this past March, he lit up from the arc, eventually taking over sole possession of the most threes made by a Husky in their career. And he didn't just leave his mark on the history books. He left an impact on so many guys in that locker room.
It was such a great blessing to kind of be under his wing for 3 years. I learned so much from him, but just the way he approached the game and the way he took it with that level of seriousness, I learned so much from him in terms of that.
Alex, he's full of emotion right now. So I gave him a hug. And I think that was the words basically said in that moment. So it's just such a special person. And his future is gonna be incredible.
That guy taught me so much about basketball and just discipline. I mean, he was disciplined on and off the court. Good day, bad day. There were days and games last year where people were sending him death threats and all type of hate, but he just stuck with it, ignored it, and just, like I said, he got a heart of a champion.
I heard from him the most, just who he is, everyday guy, always putting his best foot forward. I just wish we could have sent him out the right way, him, Terrace, Alec Miller, Malachi Smith, just wish we could send him out the right way, but we couldn't.
And despite not getting a third ring in his final season, he's still one of the best to ever step foot on the hardwood during the NCAA tournament. Like Solo Ball said, Alex's stats are up there with some of the guys from the UCLA dynasty of the 60s and 70s. 2 national titles, 3 Final Four appearances, and an 18-2 record in the big dance in his career. So it's safe to say that Alex Karaban is leaving UConn better than he found it.
Extremely emotional, just you give this program everything every single day for 4 years, and knowing that it's over now, knowing the legacy that I left, knowing everything that I gave to UConn, it just, you just feel like your heart's ripped out of, your heart's ripped out of your body right now. Just you gave everything, and every second I'm thinking about how I could lead this team, how I could help win, how we could have won this game tonight, and it's emotional. It's emotional. I love this place. I love everyone about it. I love my teammates, coaches, fans, everyone that's supporting UConn, and I just wanted to give them a good 4 years, and hopefully I did that. Just knowing the impact that I had on this program, the legacy that I left in college basketball, it's going to be something I'm going to be proud of. I'm going to be proud of everything I did in this UConn jersey. I'm going to be proud of all the teammates that I have. I'm going to be proud of everyone that I came in contact with, and, just the state of Connecticut. Hopefully I paved the way for future Alex Karabans.
In the walk back to the locker room, you were side by side with Alex, who was visibly emotional. Just what did you say to him coming back here?
Just how proud he is, how proud I am of him, and just how he's maxed out his career. I mean, you're the greatest. You're in the conversation of greatest Huskies. You're the biggest winner that's ever played on the men's side. You've set records in March that it's gonna be, hard. He didn't catch Christian Leitner, but he's, his career and what he's accomplished. I mean, he's the greatest winner in men's basketball history at UConn, in a place where it's hard to make history.
Still to come on Connecticut Game Week, spring football is back at the Rent. What you need to know about Saturday's spring game and how new head coach Jason Candle's roster is shaping up.
I'm Kevin Ferry. When it counts, you need a top dog on your side. That's Ferry Law, proud sponsor of Connecticut Game Week's Top Dog.
Welcome back. It's time for a little recon, and this week we focus on the return of spring football. Saturday's spring game at the Rent gives fans a chance to see new head coach Jason Candle and his team in action. Tailgating is welcome and parking is free. Fans will also have the chance to meet some of the players after the game. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. Coach Candle spoke about the preparation this spring and the roster decisions ahead.
Some things will be clear, others will not be, and that's okay. We're going to get out of spring practice. We're going to get into a good summer period where we'll do whatever we can as far as what the rules allow us to do to build our team. Our strength staff is amazing, and we'll continue to build the culture of that through that portion of it. And then we'll get back down to business when it comes to fall camp, and ultimately then, find out who the 22 starters are and who the key backups are that are going to help us win games.
Coming out of high school, Coach Candle recruited me. I was committed to Nebraska for a while. The coach staff got fired, so I ended up coming here with Coach Candle. Just the first meeting alone with Kendall, just being around him, you can tell that he's the guy you want to be around. The way he coaches you, the way he's on you every day is it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but when you know, you know.
Obviously, we're in a limited amount of time. I don't believe in practicing for 3 hours every day and really mentally fatiguing the guys that way. So we want to be efficient in what we do, and that takes a lot of organization and a lot of prep prior to being out here.
Well, it's never too early to look at next year's women's basketball roster, and 2 players have already entered the transfer portal as of this week. That's Ice Brady and Ayanna Patterson. Now, Brady averaged 2.5 points this season. She also missed 2 of her 4 seasons in stores because of knee injuries. Meanwhile, Patterson has also battled numerous injuries. She averaged a little over 5 minutes a game. UConn now has 2 more scholarships available. And still ahead, Solo Ball shows off his ink collection. The story behind his tattoos when Connecticut Game Week returns.
It's the end of a significant chapter in basketball for Azzi Fudd, who now has the WNBA draft to look forward to. But as she saw her time in a UConn jersey sunset in Phoenix, she had one final chance to discuss what it's meant to her to play in the basketball capital of the world.
I mean, obviously this isn't how I wanted my career at UConn to end, but these 5 years, I have so much to be grateful for. I couldn't have asked for better teammates, better coaches, a better experience. I'll look back on college and I know something we've talked about is how, this game, like I said, not how we wanted to end, but it doesn't define us and, what this team is, what this season was for us. So, I think, guilty. I feel like I let the team down today, but a lot of gratitude, a lot of love, and just a lot that I'll never be able to, verbalize and thank the coaching staff, the teammates, the support staff, and everyone from this program that's poured into me, touched me. I'll never be able to really verbalize how much they've meant to me.
Well, Solo Ball is hard to miss on the court for several reasons. He brings a lot of passion and a lot of energy, but physically speaking, he's decked out with various works of ink. And I caught up with the junior guard back in Indianapolis and asked him the important journalistic questions about his collection of tattoos. You've got a lot of body art. I'm just curious, how many tattoos do you have in total?
Ooh. See, whenever people ask me this question, I can never give them a number. I really don't know. I know I have, how many sessions? I've done 14 sessions. That's all I know.
What was the last addition that you made to the collection here?
I got it on my leg, actually. I got a UConn tattoo, and I got this UConn tattoo, and then I got like Sonic and Shadow. It's like split in half. So like this side of my body is like more like my journey and stuff, and then this side is more like scripture related to Jesus, everything like that.
Do you have a favorite piece of work that you've gotten done?
I don't know, to be honest with you. It might be this, because I spent a lot of time in here. A man that walks with God is never alone. And this also God's timing, but this took like 9 hours. I was sitting in the chair for 9 hours.
What tattoos do you have planned in the future? And any ones you're sitting on for maybe later?
I think I want to get the rest of the leg done, at least the bottom of it. But I got some in mind, but I'm not focused on it too much.
Well, still to come, we've got the inside scoop on which Huskies are most likely to be the ones called an emergency. That fun story just ahead.
And also ahead, off to the pitch we go. We'll preview a historical match in stores, how Connecticut United is loaded with Husky connections when Connecticut Game Week returns. It's time for what's in stores, and we start with a slice of history. Connecticut United will make its home debut on Saturday in stores. UConn alum Andre Swanston is the principal owner, and 2024 national champion Stephon Castle co-owns the club, playing its inaugural season. And former UConn soccer star Shavar Thomas is the head coach. Swanston told me the decision to launch the team in the state was a no-brainer.
Connecticut is a soccer-crazy market, right? It's, the youth participation in soccer is even higher than basketball, which most people wouldn't think in kind of a basketball powerhouse state like Connecticut. Such a diverse state ethnically, right? Most Italian-American state, huge Brazilian population, Caribbean population, Polish, American population, and so we've got a lot of excitement from the fans, Latino fans, and then also I think the other thing that's been really cool for us in terms of like setting that foundation is that we actually launched our free youth academy in 2024.
2-1.
Well, the UConn baseball team is off to Indianapolis for a 3-game series at Butler. They enter this weekend with a 3-game winning streak as well. Huskies will return home on April 17th and play St. John's. Well, when you spend as much time together as the men's basketball team has, you get to know one another pretty well. Well enough, at least, to know who you would call in a crisis. So it begs the question, who on this roster would be your emergency contact?
Emergency.
Who gonna pick up the phone?
Oh boy. Who answers the phone, man?
Emergency contact. To be honest, I feel like it's Jay Ross just because I've known him for so long, and I feel like I can trust him in any situation. He's got me out of the situations, and I feel like he can say the same thing with me too. Things happen, you know, and your brother has to get you out of something, you know. But
Yeah.
nothing too crazy.
I might say Solo, just because I've known him for so long, and he does pick up his phone, at least when I call him. So.
My roommate Eric, and just because I see him every day.
I'll probably say Silas. I mean, if I'm thinking right now, yeah, Silas. I'll probably say Silas. He'll definitely pick up the phone, especially he got family too. So yeah, I definitely got Silas.
I can't say Terrace. Terrace don't be responding to my messages sometimes. I'd probably say AK. AK is pretty good at texting people back. He's probably one of the first few people to respond when somebody sends something to the group chat. Either him or Jaden Ross, one of those two.
Alex Karaban. Did everybody say that?
It's been like a tie between Jaden and AK for who would pick up the most. Yeah.
I would trust Jaden Ross. I would trust Jaden Ross for sure. I'd say those two.
I would pick either Dwayne or Jaden Ross.
I'll change my answer. I'll go AK.
Terrace Reed, I would never call him. He is really bad with his phone.
Yeah, the back and forth comedic duo that was Alex Karaban and Terrace Reed this week in Indianapolis. I mean, for us media people that were there, those were the two guys we were going to for anything, whether it was X's and O's or just sound bites about each other. Like, it did not disappoint.
It seems like we've seen the generational gap in action because my first, second, and third thought was Ghostbusters.
Okay.
So, I don't know who my actual emergency contact would
Or
be
just like
outside
who
of my
you're
parents.
gonna call, that's where you jump to?
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, that's where my brain went.
All right. No, I mean, Terrace and Alex were obviously, emotional after the loss, but even then, Terrace was still all smiles and still made sure to give one last dig to AK. It was
Shout out to
real
Terrace.
fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll catch y'all next week.